Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of The Suited Shootist. And I'm going to be doing something a little different today because I've talked before about, carrying guns at work, the problems that carrying guns at work can create, the problem that carrying traditional weapons of any kind can create. And so I wanted to, instead of just focusing on the negative, talk about some potential alternatives. I will preface this by saying several things. This is for educational purposes only. This is by no means to be construed as advice. This is purely a topic for consideration. And I don't know where you work. I don't know what the policies or laws are. So don't take any of this as me telling you what to do, because I can't. And I'm not going to assume any of the responsibility if this happens to not jive with the realities of your work environment. What I am going to say is that most weapons policies are generally written by Riskaverse bureaucratic weenies. And so knowing that, it helps to at least understand that mentality if you are going to try and play within the rules, but still find ways to suitably equip yourself. So starting, I guess, with the most traditional options first. If you follow the channel for any period of time, you know that OC, colloquially called pepper spray, is pretty much the thing that I don't leave home without. This is my American Express card. Good God, is that a dated reference now? I think it is. Anyways, OC can go a lot of places. Pretty much the only places that this can't go are places with metal detectors. So this can go to bars. This can go in places where firearms are banned by law or policy. And the nice thing is that even the most risk-averse, policy wonk doesn't really view this as a weapon. This is almost universally viewed as a purely defensive tool. And obviously we can quibble in the comments that all of our tools are defensive in nature. The reality is that there are people in this world that view guns and knives and stuff like that as tools of offense, as tools to do harm. You really can't do permanent harm with pepper spray unless you use it well outside the manufacturer's recommendations. And I'm talking about trying to jam it in somebody's eye socket or something to that effect. Don't do that. But point being is pepper spray is pretty innocuous. And so, again, your policies may ban this, but this is definitely one that is a whole lot easier to say, oops, I didn't know, or oops, I thought. Definitely the number one. Secondly, and this is kind of the tail end of purpose-built tools. If you are in a state where Saps and or blackjacks are legal, again, this is fairly innocuous. It's fairly benign. It's just braided leather. And, unless somebody knows what it is, you're going to be hard-pressed to offend some suburban office monkey with, something like this getting spotted or even actually being found in your effects. Again, provided that it's legal to carry in your state. It is a purpose-built weapon, so it might require a little bit more explanation if somebody does ask, hey, what is that? But there's a reason that I like impact weapons. Two, actually. Number one, by all accounts, they tend to be able to generate fight-stopping effect a whole lot more readily than edged weapons. Now, admittedly, there is some technique to that. It's a little bit of strength, it's a little bit of technique, but it's not something that is, you don't have to be like a Golden Gloves boxer in order to be able to effectively employ an impact tool. And the other reason why I like them is because they are arguably the easiest to effectively improvise. Firearms are very challenging to improvise and typically still require a machine shop. And again, while firearms, to the best of my knowledge, are legal to manufacture for use but not transfer, let's not get into that. It's a lot more challenging to fabricate, kind of hastily fabricate an edged weapon. I know Ed Calderon has the thing where he like scores a Bic pen and then sharpens it on the cheap sort of industrial carpet that you find in most office buildings, and that creates a nice little spike. But it's a spike. You might be able to get a couple of good hits in with it, but it's not going to be a real kind of prolonged fight type tool, as I understand it. It's more of kind of an escape and evasion thing. I haven't taken any of his coursework, but this is kind of the secondhand sense that I'm getting. Something with an edge with some cutting ability is a lot harder to manufacture, but either of those, still, it's going to take a considerable amount of work and effort to really generate a fight stop. So again, this is why I prefer impact tools. The one that you generally see is going to be like a tactical pen, which I cannot stand. They are obnoxious. Number one, they're overpriced. Secondarily, they are overtly offensive. They are a weapon. And you ain't fooling anybody. I mean, those things get snatched out of TSA all the time. If you're going to buy a tactical pen, I've got a couple of the Zebra 701s floating around, but honestly, my favorite one is this right here. This is a metal-bodied Sharpie. I like it because the barrel is a little bit thicker, so I can actually get a little more purchase on it. There's no knurling on it. It's slick-sided, so you still have to kind of cap it to get a good hit. But, I mean, this is effectively a Kobatan, but it actually writes. You'll see people making like the G10 shanks with Sharpies and stuff like that, and it's cute until somebody uncaps it and goes, what the hell is this? So this is a functional marker that happens to have the added benefit of it being a metal body. So I'm not the biggest fan of Kobatans because they still require some fairly intentional targeting, but it's an option. If you're going to go with a tactical pen, spend like the $10, $12 and get one of these, because at least that way it's useful. But if you understand the way Saps and blackjacks are supposed to work, like I said, those are the easiest ones to improvise. All you need is something that's got a few ounces of weight and a semi-rigid handle that you can grab onto. We've all got at least one of these laying around, right? This came with your last firearms purchase. And there's just enough weight on the end of one of these that it's not necessarily going to have quite the same effect as, say, an 8-ounce blackjack will on a collarbone or a wrist bone. But, you snap this up under somebody's chin, which, again, if you're talking about a workplace type circumstance, ostensibly the ones that people are all concerned about are some degree of life-threatening violence, not the social violence monkey dance type stuff where you would be using this in a less lethal posture. But this is a passable, ready-made, improvised sap. And if you are interested, Guy Schnitzler, he's out of Dallas, puts on a one-day Saps and Jacks class. Larry Lindemann of Point Driven Training does too, but his availability is much more limited. So if you are in a position and you want to learn about impact tools a little bit, something like this, Saps and Jacks, the Guy Schnitzler class, it's Larry's material that he's teaching. Phenomenal class, and the really nice thing about it is it's not tool-based, it's principle-based, and so it allows you to work with whatever you got in your world. Coin saps are kind of their own thing as well. I can't find the meme anymore, but it was actually a photo of, I believe, a TSA checkpoint, and up on the bulletin board it had front and center one of the Mean Gene hot tamales. So they know what those things are. Don't think that you're being sneaky. The only time I really find use of a coin sap is if I'm traveling outside the country where coin currency is a lot more commonplace, because I have an excuse to have a coin pouch on me And that is a little bit more justifiable here within the U.S. We've almost been gone to a completely cashless society, and virtually nobody carries coins anymore. So that's weird enough that it'll garner some attention. But the other thing is look at your environment. If you work in a trade or something like that, obviously wrenches and screwdrivers can be pretty gnarly when properly applied. But if we're talking about more of an office environment, if pepper spray is a no-go, get a good sense of where the nearest fire extinguisher is. Just some thoughts. Like I said, these are just some ideas, but if somebody is not going to violate policy and they still want to be able to protect themselves within the confines of their workplace, and I fully respect that, I think everybody should be able to, these are a few things to look at. Because, like I said, none of this is a universal solution. None of this is an optimal solution by any stretch of the imagination. Ideally, we'd be able to carry our firearms, go about our days, and just be unbothered. But unfortunately, consequences sometimes dictate that we have to default to less than ideal tools. And if you understand the principles behind why your defensive tools are effective, then that allows you to sometimes get a little bit more creative with alternate solutions. If you have an idea of something that I may have missed, I want to hear about it down in the comments. If you think that I'm just completely off base and a coward and that I should carry my gun anyway, consequences be damned, you're going to sound off down in the comments regardless if I want to hear from you or not. So go ahead and do it. Aside from that, hope everybody has a fantastic week. Stay dangerous and stay sharp. I will mention, parting shot, I am a Palm affiliate. I have bought more of this stuff and given more of these away than I can count. But if you want to support the channel, go ahead and use the discount code down below, and it does help me out a little bit. So again, stay dangerous and stay sharp.